Are you thinking of purchasing the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 or any of the Fold series for that matter? Well, I can definitely say that if you do purchase any of them, it will be a good investment and it is a fantastic product. As someone who owns and uses the Fold 3 on a daily basis, there are some things to consider when using the device. The points made in this video are in no way meant to dissuade you from purchasing the Fold 3 or any of the Fold series. Also, I make no apology about the length of this video because I think I've raised some really interesting points for you to consider. With that said, I think it's time to go indoors because I am freezing. Let's start off on a good note by looking at the price of the Fold 3. Obviously, with the recent release of the Fold 4, it has meant prices for the Fold 3 have dropped significantly, which is music to your wallet or your purse. So what it effectively means is that you can pick up the Fold 3 for about maybe $700 on the second-hand market. So for example, I purchased mine using the Amazon Renew program and I picked mine up for $780. So I was very happy, and again, as you can see, everything's been working, so no issues to report to date. Now, I am aware that sometimes Samsung, they do some really good trade-ins. So if you want to trade in a previous device, maybe like say Note 20 Ultra or a Fold 2 or 3, or if you have the 3 to get the 4, Samsung offers some really good deals, and sometimes they offer some crazy prices when you trade in. And I've covered that on my channel in at least a couple of videos, where if you trade in some devices, you can potentially pick up the Fold 4 for, I think the lowest I've seen it on these brand new, the lowest I've seen it on the Samsung website is for $620. Honestly, my jaw just dropped. So what I'm going to do is hold on to this and hope that the Fold 5 has really good upgrades, and I will use this to trade in for the Fold 5 next year. So that's my plan for sure. The first thing to note about this device is that it is bulky, and at the same time it is heavy, because it weighs 271 grams. But in terms of the weight and the bulkiness, I guess I cannot complain too much, because that's the price for having a foldable device of this nature. What I also add is that when you have a case on it like I have here, it does add to the weight, and I can understand why some people decide to rock this without a case. But for me, no, I'm definitely going to stick with having a case on this device. And I mentioned earlier about it being bulky. Yes, when you add the case on, yes, it does definitely feel more bulky. And as you can see, this part here is for the S Pen. What I should add, and I think I learned this after I purchased the case, was that this only takes the S Pen Fold Edition, whereas I've got the S Pen Pro here. Purposely got the S Pen Pro because I want to be able to perform all the functional activities that I can do on my Note 20 Ultra, and this was the reason for going for the S Pen Pro, because it performs all the air actions and stuff, which the Fold Edition does not. So you can see it does not fit in these slots there. Okay, so to ease this cumbersome and tough hold, what I do is just remove this partition here, and now this feels so much more comfortable to hold and to handle on a daily basis. Now, if you're somebody that is not going to be using the S Pen at all, then you're going to be fine. But nevertheless, it is definitely a heavy item. But I guess it's like anything. After a while, you tune your mind to it, and then you just don't notice the heaviness after some time using it. So that's definitely something you definitely need to definitely keep in mind, is that yes, this is it is a bulky device, but again, it is a very good device. It really is. Okay, the other thing to note is that the outer screen, as you can see, is really narrow, and I have issue with this on a couple of points. Firstly, you're definitely prone to typing errors for sure. There's no doubt about that. So again, I don't care how nimble your fingers are. I don't consider myself to have fat fingers, but my goodness, it's a real artwork trying to type on this without making any mistakes. Look at that. I've even made, look, I meant to write Solutech, and I've written up there Solutech. There you go. So just to prove, yes, really, really tough. So that's something you will have to definitely consider. Yeah, this narrow outer screen. And I'm not a fan of this narrow outer screen because, as I said, on the Note series you have no issues whatsoever. You can type on any regular Candy style phone. And again, just to prove to you that I'm not asking for the impossible, if we look here, this is the Microsoft Surface Duo, and again, lovely wide screen. Now, I am not suggesting that the future iteration of the Fold, definitely the Fold 5, should be as wide as this, but I would settle for 2/3 of this to make it a pleasurable typing experience. So for example, if I just tap on here, look at the keyboard, night and day. Look at that, you can type with consummate ease. I mean, that there's the argument why this should be wider. Do you know what the irony is? This does not cost as much as the Fold 3 here. But look at this, Microsoft with this have got it on point with the keyboard. This is superb. It really is. And I seriously believe that Samsung really needs to follow in the path of if not Microsoft here, look at the competitors. Xiaomi, Vivo, Huawei, even Oppo with their foldable devices. They're not skinny and narrow like this, like a remote control for a television. So definitely for future iteration, Samsung must or need to improve this outer screen. It definitely needs to be wider. You can get it, up to about to here. Oh my goodness, it will make for a much more pleasurable typing experience. And then also just visually, you can see that when you look at this tall, skinny, narrow aspect ratio, you look at this, this is a pleasure. It really is. Obviously I have folded this in half just for this video, but you can see this is the standard, and definitely Samsung need to follow suit. The other reason why I'm not happy with this narrow front screen, outer screen, is that there are some things you will need to do, and so I'm trying to demonstrate that. So you are performing certain functions or whatever. Look, classic. Let's say I want to just on the side there, you see here, I believe this is the side menu. Now if I want to see, I have to really dig for it. Shouldn't be like that. Now I can understand why some people will just rock this without a case, because it's actually easier for you to, anything that you need to perform on the edges, it's so much more easier. Look at that, with consumer ease. Simple. Oh, makes life so much simple. So again, I now understand why people will use this without the case. And also, because somebody like myself definitely wants to keep the case on, this is why I highly recommend that we do need the to be able to use the S Pen on the outer screen, because as I just demonstrated, it is just too narrow with the case on for sure. I've just taken the case off the Fold 3 so I can illustrate my next point. As I mentioned earlier, this outer screen is way too narrow, so you are prone to typing mistakes, and even for watching content, it's just way too skinny. And I'm sure many of you are there screaming at me saying, yeah, well, that's why you've got the inner display. Just open it and use it. And I would totally agree with you 100%. Just like now, I've got it open and I can continue with whatever I was doing on the outer display. Now, in practicality, this is how it works. So whenever I'm commuting or I'm on public transportation, I'm very conscious of people around me, and I don't really want to advertise to the whole world that I've got an expensive device by opening it. I want to be as discreet as possible. So for that reason, yeah, I find that I'm having to just stick with the outer screen. In fact, I actually don't use this. What I tend to do is just use my Note 20 Ultra, because there's the slab style screen, and then when I go somewhere that is less discreet, then I will open it out like this. As I'm talking to you now, this is a controlled environment. There's no one around me, so there is no issues opening it and using it like this. But as I say, on public transportation, no, I don't want everyone to see that I've got this device. And also, coupled with that, 99% of the people that I see are using the candy style devices, which is not wrong, because as I mentioned, I use my Note 20 Ultra. So again, if the outer screen was of a regular size, or as I mentioned, if it's 2/3 of the Microsoft Surface Duo here, this would be a dream device. When it comes to the S Pen, I have 3 issues with it. The first one I touched on earlier, and that is the fact that you cannot use it on the narrow outer screen. Because if you could use it on the narrow outer screen, it would make typing so much easier. In fact, it will be accurate every single time one uses the S Pen on the outer screen, for sure. The second issue I have with the S Pen is that you have to pay separately for it, which is a real shame, because when you look at the Note series or the S22 Ultra, it is stored within, it comes with the device. And that leads on to my third point, and that is the storage of the S Pen. Because as you can see, there is nowhere on the Fold 3 or the Fold 4 to store the S Pen within the body of the device. And I think that is a real shame, because this is a ritual for me. These two, they go hand in hand. There's no way I'm going to leave with one without the other. They must go together, because I do a lot of editing on this Fold 3, especially with this large canvas. It is superb. It really is. But I cannot tell you the amount of times I have to keep looking for the S Pen. Honestly, it drives me insane. Sometimes you'll spend 10-15 minutes looking for the S Pen. But if it's in the body of the device, just pick up the device and you're on your merry way. So definitely Samsung need to make space for the S Pen. They do it on their Note series and on the S22 Ultra, so there's no reason why it shouldn't go inside the body of the device. And it doesn't need to be as chunky as this. It doesn't need to be. It just needs to be thin, and it can be done. It can be done. I don't work in the research and development department. It can be done 100%. So that's something Samsung definitely need to look into, because it will stop all this, where is it? No. And also, once you lose this, chances of you paying for a replacement are slim to none. Whereas I have to, because like I said, if I lose this, I have to purchase another one, because I do need to do my editing on point. This is accurate with the S Pen. I cannot do it with my fingers. No, it's impossible. So that definitely needs to be looked into for future iteration. Okay, moving on to my next point, and that is the flex mode on this device, which, yeah, pretty cool. Everyone's familiar with how it works. You can use it as a whoopsie daisy. You can use it as a mini laptop, or you can watch something and you can be responding to comments at the bottom, which is I like the idea in theory, but in practice, no, I just feel that no, it doesn't do it correctly. When it comes to flex mode, this is how it should be done. This is what it should look like. Again, bring back the Microsoft Surface Duo. Look at this. I can watch something on this beautiful screen, and I can respond here, type here. I mean, the Fold 3 for me, that's not flex mode. no, that is skinny mode. This is true flex mode. The only way the Fold 3 can claim or claim to have flex mode as part of the device is when they increase the outer display. Once they can do that, then again, I'm not screaming for it to be the same size as this, but if you can get it's obvious, widen it. Most people on the Fold 4 are saying the same thing. I've seen the Fold 4. I saw it in the T-Mobile store in Times Square in New York City. Yeah, it was lovely, it looked fantastic, but again, it was still too narrow. So for the fifth iteration, it needs to change. Samsung, you've done it on 4 iterations. Yes, on the Fold 4, they've increased the outer screen by 3mm, but no, that's one of the common complaints, that it is still too narrow. Again, I have seen it in person. It's lovely, but it's still narrow. And again, when you look at the competition, Vivo, Huawei, Oppo, whatever, there's the outer display just looks on point. And until Samsung follows suit, for me, they're not the best foldable device. They may be the most popular because they pretty much rule the market, especially in the US and other European markets. But when you look at the competition, no. Again, look, this is Microsoft. This is made by, this is Microsoft. Microsoft, American company. They can do it with the Surface Duo. So there's no reason why Samsung cannot do it in future iterations. Please, Samsung, widen the outer display. Once you can do that, we can do a lot of things. And then also, we can have what I call true flex mode. The cameras on this device are not bad. And for someone who is not a tech nerd like myself, the cameras will pass the test. But again, as I reiterate, for someone like myself who is a tech nerd, I would say the cameras on this Fold 3 are a little bit disappointing, because you've got cameras on the S22 Ultra. Those ones, the photos, videos taken on those, they outperform this one. But again, for someone who just wants to take photos and is not fussed about the technical aspects of things, this will do fine for sure. But I am disappointed that for a for Samsung's most expensive flagship device like this, it should have the creme de la creme. It should have everything. So that is something that Samsung definitely need to work on, for sure. And if I spin this around, then we move on to the under display camera, which now I've got to be absolutely honest, Samsung do a really good job of hiding it. I have to be honest, I don't even notice it. It's only now I'm talking about it that I'm really looking out for it. And you'll have to believe me when I tell you that it is over here. So let's see if I can bring that closer to the screen. It is pixelated. I just want you to, yeah, see it just up there. You can see it just there. There you go, just there. So for me, I think Samsung do a really good job with that. What you definitely need to know is that this under display camera here, the quality is not the greatest, so do keep that in mind. And I've got to be honest with you, I never use the under display camera on the inner display on this device. What I will say is that I love this concept. I didn't like it on the Fold 2 where it was visible, but I love this where it's just it's very, very discreet, just that pixelated area. And like I said, most of the time I do not even notice it. I'm so preoccupied with watching what's on the screen. I don't, sometimes I did not even realize that this has an under display camera on the inner screen, because like I said, it's just, for me, it is well hidden. But again, you can compensate not using that by using the cameras on the outer screen, for sure. So those are definitely some points to consider. Again, they're not hindrances, they're just things that I think you should definitely need to know. And they couldn't have been that bad because I purchased the device, so all is not lost. Rather than sit in the warm and cozy studio and tell you about my next point, I thought I'd come out and show it to you. Reason being is that it was something I never thought about until after I had purchased the device. So here's one of the points that I do want to make, and I think it's really important. So as you can see, I've got the Fold 3 here on a clamp, but if you notice, it doesn't fully cover the whole of the fold, so it is more than likely to drop, and it's very difficult to find clamps that will accommodate the Fold 3. Now luckily this is on grass, so if it drops I won't have an issue, but if it's on concrete, your Fold 3 is definitely going to hit the ground. This is something I didn't sort of take into account before purchasing the device. So what I tend to do now is use say for example the Google Pixel 6a, which I'm currently filming on, to film things rather than use the Fold 3. And if we just go over here, you can see this is the Microsoft Surface Duo, and look at that. Maybe if I go around the other way, you can see that it's fully clamped in, and again any candy style phone will fit in, so this is perfect. So definitely something for you to consider. The other thing to consider is when using the Fold, especially the cover display, to take a photo of somebody so they can see themselves when you're taking the photo. In the process of doing all of this, I would be really nervous that at some point this device is likely to hit the ground. So I would rather not do this. I would prefer to just close the device and just take the photo either in landscape or portrait mode. And the beauty with this option is that I've got full grasp of the device. As a content creator, it is a real shame that the Fold 3 is not conducive for outdoor filming. Okay, I do want to touch on something else. So if you're looking to purchase this device, again, it always depends on your budget, but I think because obviously the prices have dropped, I would, if you can, I would highly recommend pushing for the 512 gigabyte model. And why do I say that? All will be revealed very shortly. So if I just go into backend device here, and if I can remember which one it is, and it's this one that says storage. Let me try and see if I can bring that closer. Okay, so you should be able to see that clearly. Right, so as you can see, just here, I've got the 512 gigabyte model, and I want you to pay attention to the system storage here. So that's 50 gigabytes, and then you've got another, this other that says, okay, that's 24, let's say that's 25 gigabytes. So I'm assuming that's combined, so that should be what, 70, let's just say 75 gigabytes of the system and other storage. Now if you have, now this one's not too bad because you can take that away, deduct that from 512. Where's my calculator? So it should leave you with a substantial amount to play with. But if you went for the 256 gigabyte model, now again, I cannot confirm, but I'm pretty sure the system storage in the other is not going to be that much less than this 75 that I've got here. So if you take this 75 away from that, say 256, that's going to leave you with about 181 gigabytes. Whereas if you step up, go for the 512, and then you minus the, let's say 75 gigabytes of internal storage, you're left with 437 gigabytes. So again, if possible, if you can stretch the budget to go for the 512 gigabytes, I think you will do well. And also because the prices have dropped, I think it is achievable price wise, because the fundamental point that I want to make is that you never get the advertised storage, which I think is very naughty, and that's something that again all phone manufacturers are guilty of. Yeah, and that's something that if you watch my videos, it is something I do mention from time to time, because I just think, yeah, for someone who's maybe not, I'm not saying I'm not any clever than anybody, no, but I just tend to look at the detail. I look at things in real detail, and then obviously I provide that, share that information with you and other people as well. So again, that's something to definitely think about. Like I said, because the prices are dropped, if you can push for the 512 gigabyte model, then I think you are on to win it. And also remember, there is no expandable storage on these devices, so anything you do, you're going to be eating up your internal storage for sure. The other point I want to make while I'm here is that with the when you look at the specs on the Fold 3 and the Fold 4, there isn't that much between them, and that's why I reckon this is a really good time to definitely purchase the Fold 3 if you can afford it. And also, one of the selling points of the Fold 4, which has now trickled down to the Fold 3, is this taskbar here. I think this is excellent. It really is. So you can see it's on the Fold 3. So again, why pay $1,800 brand new for the Fold 4, when for half the price you can get the Fold 3 and you pretty much got most of the things that are on the Fold 4. Again, just all they've done, Samsung, is made minor incremental changes. So for example, the outer display, they've increased it by 3mm, but hey presto, go and look at a lot of other reviews on YouTube. Those people that have the Fold 4, the common argument is the outer display is still too narrow. So you can see, you do the maths. I'd rather stick with this one, and then I'm praying that with the Fold 5, Samsung come up with a new design, and then they really increase the outer display. Once they do that, this device will be fantastic. Obviously addressing some of the other issues, also like being able to write on the use the S Pen to write on the outer screen. Then I think then it's a slam dunk for Samsung. Well, what did you think? Those were some of my experiences of using the Fold 3 on a daily basis. And again, I could have highlighted other issues, but those are some that I think you should consider, especially if you're going to purchase this kind of device. And again, I repeat, it should in no way stop you purchasing any of the Fold series. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. My name is Shola. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another episode. It's raining.